The biggest thing that I try to convey to people is, all research molecules are designed by pharmaceutical companies that were on their way to becoming pharmaceutical compounds. So just because a compound you don't want to use it because it's a pharmaceutical, but then you use a research molecule that was going to become a pharmaceutical but didn't, I think there's this false sense of security.
You feel off. And just like with DNP, like DNP and Superdrol, you just feel toxic. This you feel off. So I don't know. But the fat loss, so you feel off and the fat loss is like really fast. So you're like, oh man, fuck, I'm melting my kidneys here.
I don't like to consider stims in the S tier just because you want to definitely ensure you're sleeping. And sometimes stims, my biggest issue is my dopamine goes up too much after I start making impulsive decisions.
When the doctor looks at my recovery, he's like, it's magic to him because he doesn't know the potential of peptides. And I'm leg pressing 3 plates. It's been less than 3 months since I tore the quad off the bone. Welcome to Peptide Bros, episode 2. We still haven't found a better name, so it's just Peptide Bros, episode 2. First episode got a good response. A lot of nice comments in the comment section. Decent views. So let's keep growing this podcast on a monthly basis. Onwards and upwards. We got Brandon, we got Jack, and Derek, and myself. The old Uncle Steve is part of the podcast too. First, we're going to discuss a couple new updates from all of us. And then we're going to do a monthly recurring nootropic tier list because, well, there's hundreds of nootropics, so we can't address them all. And a tier list is an editing nightmare. So I don't want to do it to Derek, where he's going to have to put 100 nootropics in a tier list. And then before you know it, it looks more complicated than anybody can keep track of. Brandon, you were talking about intranasal Xenatide.
Yes, that is.
And that it's making a big splash in the people that used it. Can you disclose a little bit more?
So, number one, I like with my company, Adair and stuff, we've had the nasal GLP on the site for, I think the last few months. It's been hard to push to people because the automatic response is that it doesn't work because there's nothing, like that on the market. And when I first launched it, the best way, it sounds funny, but the best way for me to know if it was real or not, I don't know if I mentioned this before, is I took a bunch of it, like 10 to 15 times the recommended dose, and I was vomiting on the bathroom floor for like 2 hours. It was horrible, but it proved to me, that's not placebo. It must work well. So we finally have a good way. It's hard to get the raw and stuff manufacturing wise, but the molecule itself, Xenatide, the size of it and the kind of, molecular structure with the delivery system we have attached allows for that kind of quick, powerful intranasal appetite suppression without the long-term, semaglutide, your appetite suppressed for 7 days, right? So when I took it and I got sick, what was nice is that it ended pretty quickly. And again, I took a very, very high dose, but what's nice about it is that if you get hungry more at night, but you want to eat during the day, you can have that very, very customizable dosing and selective dosing. So that way you're not, some people take the GLP and they just don't eat at all. And you see their face become all sunken in and stuff like that. So it really hones in at a very effective level, that kind of perfect microdose of, hey, I'm at 3,000 calories for the day. Coach Steve told me to only eat 3,000. I'm hungry at night. Let me do a few sprays. And then you're getting the calories, you're getting the nutrition, but you're not overeating. So the fact that it's very, very dialed in for that's great. And then where someone like who uses Reta might struggle, like, a lot of people still have an appetite on something like Reta. So it's nice in that it takes away that appetite very, very effectively. In fact, I thought it was a bit weaker. It's a bit stronger appetite suppression than Reta kind of by far, but it's going to take away that appetite. So for some people, the weight loss is that in the appetite, Reta works very well. But if your issue is as you keep eating, it kind of outweighs the benefits of it. So with the Xenatide, it's going to have a strong impact in reducing the appetite, but reducing the appetite only kind of when needed. So that's a very long over-explained thing about why it's going to be, I think, very, very impactful. And I haven't really seen it anywhere either. So that'll be interesting.
No, you're the first. I remember when you told me about this product, I'm like, well, that's a hole in the market because everything works so long, right? But besides liraglutide, but that seems to have fallen out of favor because you have to dose it daily and not everybody's willing to do daily injections, like daily nasal sprays, Semaxolane, oxytocin, PT141. Sign me up, right? And Xenatide on top of that, it wouldn't be much of an issue. And what you see with retatrutide, because the glucagon receptor agonism is of course present, but the GLP-1 and GIP receptor agonism is not as potent as semaglutide or tirzepatide, is that people need to escalate the dose upwards way faster than the other GLP-1 medications. So you might end up at 4, 6, 8, 12 milligrams of Reta, where you get good appetite suppression. Whereas with 2 milligrams sema or 3 milligrams tirzepatide, 4 milligrams tirzepatide, you already get it. Now, fat loss-wise, retatrutide seems to be more favored, but you do run into issues sometimes where you just feel hungry. And I think either half a milligram semaglutide on top of it, once or twice per week, or this Xenatide spray where you can literally dose it as needed. It will be a game changer for a lot of people that still struggle with their appetite. I know you sent a sample to Chase, right? Did you get any feedback from him?
Chase is so busy, he never responds to my messages, so I've accepted it.
Okay.
No, I'm just joking. I'm guessing he liked it because I think his company, Omega Aminos, they're going to have it very, very soon as well too. So he must have liked it because he ordered it, and we've had. It's like Eli Lilly sabotaging the packages, because it's like two didn't get delivered. One of them, the bottles leaked. It's been this whole thing. We're gonna get it to him though. But he must have liked it. It must have worked well because he ordered some of it. So it'll be good to have it there. But it's not just the compound too; it's the delivery system attached with it. And I think that's something that I try to convey to people as well in a non-overly scientific way, is that you can do a lot of these molecules and they work, but a lot of it's going to be within the delivery system and how it permeates through, the nasal cavity and kind of what preservatives are in it and all that stuff. And so there's a lot of intentionality that would bore most people. So in a very simplistic way, it has a unique formula attached to allow it to permeate effectively through that nasal cavity, making it more effective, along with the specifically chosen molecule of Xenatide itself. There's a lot of science behind it. Long story short, though, it allows it to work much more efficiently, right? So Chase had good feedback, though. He must have, because he wants to bring it onto his company here.
Yeah, and he has a limited product range. So if it wouldn't work, he wouldn't sell it.
Yes, Chase is very blunt. So
yeah, he's very, very selective with his product range. So it's not like Jackson. He's like, I'll try to sell everything once, and if it doesn't sell, I'll just keep the inventory. Because how many products do you have now, Jax?
So with these, we have a shipment of 2,000 capsules coming Monday, and we had some of the batch come to us early for testing. So I think we're going to be up to about 211 SKUs once we have everything up on the site. And we're getting up there. It's just been trying out all these products. I have tried the Xenatide personally. Brendan brought it down with him. And so the thing is, he actually traveled with it in a plane himself. So a little bit of a test, I guess, to see how stable it would stay. And I tried it, and it works. It works actually very well, unfortunately, because I didn't realize it would work, because I don't think anything works usually. So I took a lot of it, and I told Brendan to get out the car because I think my stomach's going to explode.
Yeah, he's about to throw up.
Bad.
Dude, it was bad. I'm not going to lie. I probably took 8 sprays myself of the weaker format. So you definitely don't want to take that much. But yeah, it's I've tried it myself, and again, I've tried every GLP at high doses, and they don't work for me now. I've been on for so long, so the fact that one worked was pretty interesting to me. It's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, I think it's an amylin, right? Or
that was a GLP-1.
Yep, it's still explaining this to my development team, like for website stuff, has been confusing too, because like it is still GLP-1, but it's like if you say just GLP-1 spray, it's this confusing thing, but it's still GLP. There's a lot of potential, though, I will say, in the coming kind of months, where the amylin kind of ones will have a lot of, I think, ability to bridge some of these gaps with the current things that exist.
Yeah, because Jack, you tried the Eloralintide at 2 milligrams in one serving.
Yeah, the Elora. That was right after the first podcast, essentially, so we didn't get to dive into that. The Elora, it works. It works very well, and I think a little too well at that point, or at least I thought it did work way better than it did. As you guys know, it turned out my appendix had ruptured right after, essentially. Or actually, I think it had ruptured right before, but we didn't know. My stomach started killing me the day after. Went to the hospital because I thought it was the Elora. The 2 mg is destroying my stomach, and no, I had to get emergency surgery and get my appendix removed. It had ruptured that day.
At least it made you aware of the problem, acutely.
Yeah. And we're not sure if it was the Elora or not, but I don't think so personally. Because again, my appendix had apparently been in a weak state for a long time from what they were telling me. May have pushed it over, but I mean, I think that could also come from some GLP abuse, which we can get into later. But again, I've taken Cagri and Reta at the same time, like at 15 and 5. I've been using GLPs for a while now. So it's kind of
yeah. And then did you ever consider like a lower dosing, or you had some friends try out 0.5 milligram Eloralintide for a
Yep.
while, and that seemed to be blunting the appetite quite well,
Operations
right? From
manager.
what I heard.
Yep, my assistant operations manager. Yeah, he's been taking it for 2 weeks now, and he's
Okay.
been on 1,500 calories at like 230 pounds for
Oh, wow.
2 weeks, 20K steps a day. And
Mm.
it's been working great. We've heard good feedback from the research kind of community, and their studies seem to be going pretty well. And it's a good seller. People seem to be liking it. I haven't heard anything complaint wise about it. And actually, Steve, you have it on the way. And
Yeah.
Derek, I don't know if you've tried it or not yet, but you have it. So
Yeah, so we're on week 2 of Eloralintide. I started 1 milligram just to start out. I was thinking about going like 500 micrograms, but I was looking at all the studies, and they were anywhere from 1 milligram to 9 milligrams. This thing worked up to all the way up to.
Yeah.
There were some people stacking this thing with tirzepatide, 15 milligrams, and 9 milligrams of Elora, and I was like, probably not. So I just stacked it. I didn't have any GLP in the picture. I was actually trying to come off the GLPs to try to eat up a little bit more, just to give it a break in general. You know what I mean? Kind of feeling tired, kind of, all the other compensatory effects are, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break, 7 weeks off all GLPs. And then I reintroduced Eloralintide by itself. So I started at 1. I think I might up it to 2, but I'm going to give it a couple weeks just to see. I definitely notice less food noise overall. I can still eat exactly like normal. But the biggest thing right now, and it could be dose dependent, I still don't know, we're still at 1 milligram, is the energy factor. And that's obviously there's no GLP in the picture, right? So, some of the energy isn't getting dragged down. But I remember even with Reta, 2 to 4 milligrams, by the time it was like 9-ish p.m., I was dead. Like my brain fog, like ready to just fall asleep. Same activity level, same everything. This, I just don't feel that lethargy. Almost, I think Steve's described it before. With cagrilintide in the picture, I'd almost feel like I had to eat more carbs or more food to try to gain some energy throughout the day. And that was the biggest thing I wanted to avoid with it.
That's the experience I got from cagrilintide. So I tried 0.5 milligram 3 times a week, and by the second week, I just like, why am I so tired and lethargic? And of course, I'm on polypharmacy, but it's the only change that I made. And I went from an energetic, happy guy to like a miserable, want to stay in bed all day guy. And that's not how I want to live, So even for any kind of appetite suppression. So like if ever Eloralintide doesn't have that energy reduction and lethargy, then I think it's going to replace cagrilintide reasonably fast once people find that out. And especially the people that need a little bit of a top-up on their sema, tirzepatide, or retatrutide. So you can do that with an intranasal Xenatide application, or maybe a low dose of Eloralintide, and get like triple or quadruple agonism through that pathway.
And I think it's going to be more common as we kind of go too, because the thing is, right, I was mentioning I was on high dose GLPs, but I wasn't when I first began. I did start about 2 years ago now almost. So when I first began, for the first year and a half, I was on low doses. But then, especially with Reta, I think there's diminishing returns after a while for sure. Especially not, in a kind of prime state, your mental, is all over the place. You're not, your cortisol's high. It can definitely, have factors. So I think we're going to start to see a lot of the research industry start to look at these alternative options and, stacking and creating these, like appetite suppression stacks, because they're going to need it. It's just going to be 10 mgs of Reta is not enough. And it gets expensive too, man. It's not cheap. It's, even if you decide to go gray market, it's still going to get, a pretty penny. So, I mean, all these alternative options, the reason why me and Brandon have been working together and with our R&D team to kind of push these out is for this exact reason. We want to really push the space to have all of the options available to them when it's needed, right? Even if it's not needed now, it may be in the future. And I strongly believe it will. So that's why we're kind of looking at these options right now.
I think what we're eventually getting into is like a combination of sema, Reta, and Eloralintide. So you get a little bit more GLP-1 receptor activation, which you don't get from the retatrutide. So you would require a lower dose. So you're talking about like the ratio of 1 milligram sema to 4 milligrams Reta to maybe 1 or 2 milligrams Eloralintide for the amylin receptor activation. And I think that's a direction of that is where we're going to end up with maybe another year of development. And you just do 1 shot, 2 shots a week, and you're done with it, And then there's no food noise, no drama.
The The melanocortin receptor pathway too for appetite suppression is something we've been looking at as well.
Mm-hmm.
So melanotan 2, PT141 they're more, I would say, rudimentary melanocortin receptor agonists, and I can't remember which one of the 5 deals with appetite, but there's some options there too as well to pair with some of these things for better and more kind of intelligent, you could say, appetite suppression. Because there's a reason why these companies have moved away from something like sema. Purely blunting someone's appetite is not the best, because if your appetite's blunted but you're in bed all day because you're sick, then you're not going to be moving, you're not going to be feeling good, and even if you do lose the weight, it's not coming from a good place. So that kind of intelligent, appetite suppression from the correct pathways, I think, is going to be a really cool and forward-thinking way of designing these things. And I think polypharmacy is good and bad. I think some people will always say oh, why are you using these 5 things, right, instead of just using one? But sometimes, there's a rational justification, and it's not oh, I'm on 5 drugs because I need all these different things. It's because they're all working synergistically for a common goal. And so, it's kind of the whole idea of some of these things, oh, you're taking 5 different peptides, why are you on so many? Why not simplify it? It's well, because this stack is the most intelligent and kind of effective. So I think that's cool too, is the mixing and matching.
There's a reason why close stacks also will,
Mm-hmm.
You got GHK, you got TB, BPC, KPV, you throw in a little bit of Cartilax, and then you got all 5 peptides for healing. And there's another one, right? We discussed, I think, in our group chat. There's also one that lowers inflammation that's not really available. It's a BPC 157, but it's another NST something along those lines. Just another weird number that also lowers inflammation.
Not aminolox, not pentosan, right? Neither of those.
No, not those. But there's another peptide out there that helps with the wound healing.
ARA, right?
No, that's for
neuropathy.
Yeah, neuropathy.
Yeah.
So that's very specific, right? That's an erythropoietin derivative that doesn't cause any hematocrit or red blood cell changes. But there's another anti-inflammatory. I'm sure in the comment section that will go wild. And they'll post it. There's another one Steve, you totally forgot about XYZ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whatever fucking number is. So I think eventually there'll be these stacks with a good ratio between them. You inject 4 to 5 peptides, and then you're done. Similar to what they're trying to do with the bioregulators, but those don't really work. Besides epithalon, maybe. I did as much research as I can. I use Cartilax right now, 10 milligrams per day, and I can't say that I'm impressed still,
I think the route we're heading with this whole thing, especially for Reta, whenever that does get approved down the line, I don't think it's going to come out under one brand name. I think they're going to play with all the ratios of GLP to GIP to glucagon for specific things, and then just model it out 6 different ways, or however many they decide and however many they can get approved. So if somebody, researchers are doing this polypharmacy right now of stacking all these different things because the ratios don't make sense for them right now. Whatever's in Reta, we can all attest that definitely the GLP is lower than the past ones. We all know Sema and TERS had more of an appetite suppression effect. I think they're going to play with that so much to the point where, if someone specifically does need it and they're looking at, I can't lose weight, but then you're looking at the actual caloric intake. Maybe they prescribe this different version under this different brand name that the appetite suppression is a little bit higher. And that's what I could see it going for the more generic population of, maybe somebody has fatty liver, but, they're eating just fine. Maybe they up the glucagon a little bit or something like that. I can see all these ratios playing out because at the end of the day, we all know pin fatigue, convenience. That's what the average person is going to be looking at. If there was a pin that they could take once every month, that's what they would do for 90% of Gen Pop.
That's why Nabito is still around. 1 injection every 12 weeks. It's horrible for estrogen levels. I'm at pin fatigue right now. I never thought I'd get there, but after my quad tear, I'm doing 7 injections in the morning and 5 in the evening. I'm hands off until the end of the month.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's what I think too. There's the feedback I always hear, and I probably have said this a million times, but it's I think people get really defensive because they're well, this transdermal or nasals, nootropic nasals typically actually do work better than their oral or even injectable counterparts. Right. But the transdermals I know get a lot of pushback because it's well, transdermal this or that's less effective, and it's even if it is, even some of these things, if you'd be willing to pin them, if you're a seasoned bodybuilder, you're going to do your essential pins first. And a lot of these, you're probably, even if you're willing to do it, you're probably not going to do it because it's like, if I have to skip one today, it's going to be this or that peptide. So if it's even 60% as effective, but you use it daily and you can use it with other peptides, I think that's where it becomes much, much more effective for the general population and even for our community as it is, because it's like, I'm someone too where it's like, I don't mind pinning, and I know a lot of people don't, but if you're doing all the peptide stacks, it gets to a point where it's like, it's time and it's just the pain of having to do it. Where if you do a transdermal, like SR, for example, transdermal is so much easier in the morning. In the morning, I don't want to go pin. I'm half awake. Like, I'm going to go injure myself or something, but the transdermal, keep it by the bedside and you get the reverb. First thing when you wake up, it wakes you up, and it's a much more, I'm sure it is less effective than the injectable, but it's something I use way, way, way more often now that I have it as a transdermal versus not using it at all and having the injectable bottle just sit with me,
Yeah, and you don't have to deal with post-injection pain, because I think the SR9009 is not post-injection pain free,
Needs to be in oil, yeah. So it's rough way to start your day,
Exactly, yeah. And the good thing, like some of the topicals, like the TB500, PPC, KPV, etc., I use that extensively for the scar that I had on my quad tear, right, from the surgery, and it just heals it like this, especially when you combine it with infrared. You know what I noticed? I went in for a body waxing, right? I'm a hairy gorilla, so I gotta get this hair removed. And then the wax specialist looks at my left leg where I had the surgery, and I applied all this topical balm with the BPC and the TB500 and did, the infrared therapy with the 7 different wavelengths. He says, why do you have so much thicker hair and so much more on the left side? I'm like, oh shit, it really works for hair growth. I didn't even notice it until she pointed it out to me. And then I look at both of my quads, and one is way more hairy than the other one. So something is going on in that aspect. And it's like an unforeseen result. Pulling it out was also very painful.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
That's not fun.
I would,
Dude,
yeah, never be able to go to one of those waxing. That sounds horrible. I don't know. I have girlfriends and stuff tell me to go and how funny it'd be, and it sounds terrible.
It's a religious experience. Yeah, after 2.5 hours full body, I can't recommend it. Don't apply these balms before religiously.
I've gotten my eyebrows waxed before, and oh my god, never again. That's why I just get them threaded now, man. I can't get them waxed.
There's way more painful parts.
Yeah, I know. So, but you just kind of mentioned the reason why. So a lot of the new releases we have, like we've dropped about 40 new SKUs in the past month. It's an absurd amount, right? But only 9 of them have been injectables. Everything else, so we have like the capsulated Clo, we have Epitalon capsulated, actually SR9009 capsulated, which I'm 50-50 about. We'll see. I have to do some more trials with that one. But, and then all the nasals and then the Clo Transdermal. There's just been so many new additions, but a lot of them have not been injectable. And that's the exact reason why, because me and Brandon, Steve, obviously, Derek, you guys have all been in the space for quite some time now. Steve, obviously, the most. And I'm surprised you can do so many injections still. I mean, I don't know, man. I tapped out a year too, dude. So that's kind of the reason why, right? I foresee the space going to this direction where it's just ease, right? You don't want to skip your SR9009 injection because it messes up your REM sleep or whatever, your wakefulness. So I think that's where a lot of these alternative kind of formats come in, again, is for these compounds that you don't necessarily want to be injecting every single day. And similar with the blends, we had that Cardilax, like BPC, TB500 blend we just released. I'm 50-50 on it, but I just got it and we put it up. Some people like Cardilax, so, why not? Let people try it out, let people experiment with it and see how they like it. But
if you get a result from it, you'll be purchasing more and more and more. And I just bought bulk because I wanted to heal the quad tendon injury, but I'm not entirely sure how much it's contributing. Even if it's 1%, it helps, obviously. Yeah, just the scientific evidence. Like when you do research on BPC 157 and you got 190 studies to choose from, you convince yourself that it's working. Right. But when you get like 4 studies and they're a little bit, wishy-washy, they say, why the fuck am I taking this? I'm not noticing anything. I'm not getting a high, or I'm not getting stronger. I'm not getting... So you're like, is it doing something? But I mean, when the doctor looks at my recovery, he's like, it's magic to him, because he doesn't know the potential of peptides. Yeah. And I'm leg pressing 3 plates. It's been less than 3 months since I tore the quad off the bone.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's where we're going. with the convenience factors of blends too, because to be honest, like a lot of these things aren't going to be noticeable within, you know, a day or two. But if you have the convenience of a blend that allows you to stay consistent for 2 to 3 weeks, then you might see those improvements where, you know, you're looking at yourself every single day, or you're in your body the entire day, right? You're not noticing the little things. But then, like you were saying, when you go to the doctors and you see the recovery, if, you know, you had to do 3 separate things, BPC, TB500, Cardilax, and you did them all separately, the average person, if they wouldn't even get to that point, you know, you would do that 100%. But the average person's like, oh, I didn't see anything after a week, I'm just going to give up on it or throw it away, kind of thing.
Yeah, I did that the first 3 weeks. I did separate everything because that's what I had.
Right.
And then I had the claw was coming in, took about 3 weeks to get in. So then I could do 1 shot. But
Right.
first I was doing 4 shots. It's a fucking nightmare, you know?
Yeah.
I feel bad for you, Steve. Everything we see, it's minimum 3 weeks, bro.
I know, but it's the only way to get shit into Thailand. So can't do it. If it comes in fast, then there will be somebody at customs like,
I still swear to God.
How can we get some money out of this guy?
Someone stole that baklava from the first packages. I still
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I had to.
So Jack sent me baklava, and then it didn't arrive. I'm like, where the hell is it? So I asked my shipping forwarder, say, we don't know. We didn't see no baklava. They lost a T-shirt also, $240 for a shirt of $240.
Jack's been having some trouble shipping over here too. Puerto Rico is not the fastest thing in the world. You don't have to go through. Luckily, it's still part of the U.S. So if you ship regular, like as long as you don't go through if you do UPS, it's international. It goes through customs. Anything else is just straightforward. But it's got to go to. It'll send wherever it's getting sent out of. They send it to New York or Florida, and then it's got to get on a boat or whatever. It takes forever.
Yeah, it takes forever. So yeah, and there are items that are a little bit gray, like the shirt that I ordered from Maseo. That was just a loss, but it happens. It happens with all packages. I mean, Chase Irons lost his gun for a couple of weeks. They found it eventually. So somebody's like, I think they found it. Yeah.
UPS actually, so it got posted on, I think Elliot Durman posted on his story a negative about UPS, and they destroyed like 4 Adara affiliate packages. Like boxes, like I'm dead serious. Like 4 boxes from UPS that we found, like that got delivered to affiliates with the Adara, like because it had like sticker or branding on the outside. Right. They got destroyed. So UPS was watching his story, and like now we still ship with UPS, but we don't have any branding on the outside because they'll like beat up the boxes. It's a little ridiculous, you know.
A lot of angry people work at UPS and FedEx.
Oh no, we don't talk about FedEx, man. They screwed over so badly recently with the 4th of July sale. 370 orders. Where? We don't know still to this day. We've called the local one. We've called the reps. We've called a sales executive, everything, an account executive. They don't know where it is. It was dropped off, and we don't know where it went.
Yeah,
so,
I remember every time I go to Las Vegas and I'm like, I should get some packages delivered to the post box, you know, so you read the reviews of all the post offices in Vegas, and literally everywhere, where's my package? It never arrived. Shit like this. And it's all FedEx, you know. They all get like 2 stars. Yeah, so
I think it depends. I've talked to a bunch of companies that do 3PL or ship out of their own warehouses. It just depends on the region. I remember when I was back in Colorado, like Denver area, FedEx was better. Anywhere else, like, and then UPS would take a week. It just depends on how that local place is set up. But yeah, a lot of these you don't have a choice for. Some of these peptide companies, they're doing 3PL out of the same warehouse in like Cali or wherever, and it'll, you know, you get one thing and they lose your package, you're on the hook for whatever the order total was. So that's why you see package protection in a lot of places.
Yeah,
it was
insane.
There was a lot of money around.
Yeah.
So it's okay though.
Derek, you trying any new peptides, new experiments besides Eloralintide?
So Jackson sent out some GC1 and also sent out L-THP, which should be coming soon. So GC1 specifically, we talked about this a little bit on the last podcast, but you know, kind of like T3 and T4, upregulates the thyroid beta receptor, so you shouldn't have that, you know, resting heart rate increase as much as just a traditional T3, T4. So I kind of add that in just as a supplementation, nothing crazy. I was like going like 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams, whatever. It was Jackson's like, maybe 10. I was like, okay, we'll start with 5, slow, build your way up. So that's only about a week in. We'll kind of see how it goes. so far, no complaints there, nothing really too noticeable. If anything, one of the biggest things when you have low T3 levels is cold intolerance, or in general, you're just kind of burning less calories. So you get a little bit colder easily, stuff like that. That's been completely gone for the last week. So I think it's doing something under the hood. We might ramp that up to like 10 milligrams. And then the one I'm actually noticing a bunch from is L-THP. And this one's been around for a little bit, but it should be coming soon to Disguised at least. It basically helps clear stimulants out of your system towards bedtime. So like I'm taking it right now anywhere from like 45 to 60 minutes before I go to bed. And I noticed a big shift regardless of what nootropics, how much caffeine intake, which I've tried to been scaling back. You just kind of go into a sedative state, like a Selenk almost, but
it's a dopamine antagonist.
Yeah.
Sorry, I may cut you off.
Yeah. So basically, it's like clearing out all those stimulants. You're kind of, all the dopamine that's left in the system is kind of going away, and you just get much better kind of sleep. You're just calm, not really racing thoughts, anything like that. So L-THP might be one I keep in play for like a month, 2 months, just see. I already noticed my sleep scores have probably improved like 10, 12 points, gone from like 70s to at least high 80s or high 90s. So that's the one I'm excited for a lot of people, because in general, sleep seems to be the biggest thing that people deal with.
Oh, yeah.
So that would work for dopaminergic stimulants like modafinil, Adderall, everything that's grouped in that category, but it wouldn't work for caffeine or KW 6835.
653, I forget myself. I think L-THP would. I mean, so I've been using it myself personally on my research rat for the past month and a half, trialing with it. And I think, I don't know, like if it's just as clearing out the other things and the caffeine, everything just wears off by itself. But I'm sleeping much better than I was before. And I have some other things I've been using on top of that more recently that's been helping more with anxiety and stuff like that. I'll get into that in a second. But I think L-THP works personally. And, Derek's, I'm very happy to hear you sleeping better, because that's one of the biggest things, like entrepreneurs, especially like Derek, that's so hardworking every day, he's grinding. He's going to need to sleep, right? But it's hard when you have 30 emails every 5 seconds. You have to just like respond.
That's what I was going to say. It's not even so much the caffeine or something else keeping you up, but it's the constant text messages or, the WhatsApp messages or the, Gmails coming through. That's typically what will get you into this state of just, what's the next thing, or I could be doing more constantly, rather than, actually turning your mind off and going to sleep. Because you can worry about that in the morning, but you're like, oh, is there a business opportunity I'm going to miss, or does somebody need me for something? So that combined with something like I switched over. I was using glycinate, but I went to magnesium L-threonate. That's kind of helped with the caffeine side. And, I'll do maybe some like L-theanine plus the magnesium. That combo for me has just been enough to kind of push off everything to the side. Obviously, if there's something I need to, I can kind of power through and get it done and then go to sleep. But that's been the biggest game changer for me so far. I think a lot of people
I'll give you a
like
freebie advice as a long-term entrepreneur. Turn off all your notifications after 10 p.m.
Okay.
It's good.
I'm at a point where all notifications are turned off. So WhatsApp, everything is muted. Signal, everything is muted. Telegram, everything is muted. I'll read it when I have time. Now, if you're still not there yet, obviously you need those notifications so you can be responsive, and get back to people right away. Right. But you have to turn it off 2 hours before bed. And so if you go to bed at 12, turn it off at 10 o'clock. And I think there's apps for that, where you can just mute your phone, or you have night mode.
On iPhone, I've been on ever since, because I was working too. So I was, full-time job in office. I had my thing on personal. Like there's this personal mode where you can set who comes through and who doesn't. So if it's an emergency, right, something like the roommates or, the family, kind of that'll come through. Everything else just kind of gets put in a spot where I can see it, but not until I want to check it. So I've definitely gone to that route for sure.
Yeah. Derek, is my contact personal, or do you have mine as the just push to the side when?
I actually have you coming through the personal, so you're beating out that blocking filter. Okay. If I go on full do not disturb, then you're shut off. But
thank you, I appreciate it. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I only got my wife on personal. Everybody else is muted.
Oh man!
But I'm at the computer the whole day, so I usually respond pretty fast.
Right.
Derek, you also got the
BAM.
Yeah, the IPAM. So
IPAM, yes. So that's
Yeah.
one I actually threw in. I wanted to see how L-THP was working first by itself. So I actually just threw an IPAM like 2 days ago. We're gonna see it. I heard that one from just experience, and I kind of talked to Jackson too. Like, what do you expect for that one? It's not going to be anything crazy immediately. So figured why not just add it in? We'll see. Just for overall oxidative stress and kind of mitochondrial health, it's not a bad thing to throw in.
And what's the name of that again?
I
Ipamarilla.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not Ipamarillin.
No,
Because I remember you said IPAM, like, get out of here with these growth hormone secreted growths. Man, I'm 40 years old. I take real GH. But it's actually a mitochondrial compound that abbreviates to IPAM, and it should stack well with SS31, MOTS-c, and methylene blue, and all that kind of stuff. So it's just another mitochondrial enhancer. I don't think you would feel much from it, just like SS31 or epithalon, right? It's one of those compounds that you take, the evidence backs it up, and it's one of those feel-good compounds where you take it and you know you get a benefit out of it, but what exactly, you can't really put your fingers on it. That's
Right.
what I suspect.
Right.
And I think the other thing too is actually, so Mr. Scott, he has that, Scott McNally, he had that, kind of issue with the mitochondria. So I just put him onto the IPAM with the SS and the glutathione. So
Yeah.
we're going to see hopefully how that worked out for him.
Yeah, so if anybody noticed a benefit, it would be him, because he's mitochondrially impaired, and I've been sprinkling him this kind of information for years, but he's still trying to get back to his old. It's long hauler syndrome is just a mitochondrial condition, and the more mitochondrial stuff you can put in, the better.
Yeah. And I didn't talk about this too much, but when I first got into, we mentioned in the first podcast, I was watching the research space stuff with Steve talking about all the mitochondrial stuff. That was right after I was put on antibiotics for acne specifically. I had really bad cystic acne, and whatever happened, like my body just started rejecting the antibiotics. I went to go do a yearly blood work draw just for my yearly checkup that was covered through insurance. Liver enzymes came back at 560, 500 and 560 for AST and ALT. I was on these antibiotics for 3 years, and obviously I felt lethargic a little bit, but I was contributing that more to no sleep from school. I was in college at the time, so I was like, okay, stressed, no sleep, blah, 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 but that shouldn't be happening. So we pulled those antibiotics out, and then as soon as I did, the liver enzymes fell naturally, probably back down to 30 after 3 months. Your liver's going to regenerate, right? But my cardio and everything like that, I was still going to the gym, still doing that stuff. For whatever reason, my cardio on treadmill, I'm just huffing and puffing. I don't know if something caused so much oxidative stress that I was just kind of detrained from any cardiovascular, stuff. I put in SLU. I kind of went down that whole mitochondria route, but the first thing I added in was SLU. And that was the same thing. A lot of people say it does nothing, but when you're in a really bad state cardiovascular wise, and then you add that in, I was going from struggling for 20 minutes on the treadmill to 45 minutes, an hour, just in morning fasting cardio. And that's when it really opened my eyes to the research space, because even when all the numbers look good, my liver enzymes were fine, everything was fine after that blood work wise, but I could tell it took a toll on me under the hood kind of thing. So that's when I think mitochondria, if you keep it healthy, that's how you reduce oxidative stress, but you reduce problems down the line too, because it fixed a lot for me.
The mitochondrial stuff, the only thing you really see change in blood work is maybe your glutathione GSH. What's that? Glutathione hydroxylase change, improve, and your triglycerides come down. That's pretty much it. On the traditional blood work markers, you don't really see a difference. You feel a big difference. Especially when you start stacking all of this stuff together. So yeah, I can't wait to try IPAM. It's on the way, right?
Yes, IPAM, the CL, random numbers. I still can't pronounce it. We're going to have to come up with a name for it. A few other good ones.
CR210.
No, not CRL. No. It's a beta 3. It's a beta 3 injector.
IPAM
is
is
a Mirabegron alternative.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's just that. And then there's also the other no. That one isn't. There's a third one as well that's on the way to us that I'll send to you soon. I'm not going to name drop it yet, but that one, we were talking about earlier today, Steve.
Let me try it first.
Yeah, try it first and we'll see how it is. Yeah, that one.
We'll see.
That one's going to be good.
We'll wait for. That'll be a good seller.
Complete pathway. So it's just all about, again, developing, because polypharmacy, it comes down to just having all these pathways, right? I mean, if you're stacking on one pathway and you just keep stacking on top of it, you can use Reta, TERS, SEMA all at the same time, but you're just hitting the same pathways. You want to kind of expand out and hit other pathways, so you can truly get the most out of your protocols and all that, right? Not just hitting one pathway. So,
Right.
we'll see how it goes, and obviously stack optimization is super important too. You don't want to do some dumb stuff and add compounds that don't make sense with each other. I see that mistake somewhat commonly still of compounds being stacked. Like, for example, is it like CJC and tesamorelin just being stacked together? Don't make sense. It does not make sense.
It's all right. Tesamorelin and ipamorelin, okay.
Good.
That's a different receptor. But hey, people stack like 5 different steroids together and they'll activate the androgen receptor, and that's pretty much it, no non-genomic responses from the androgen, bro. Yeah, fine. Fine. Talking about stacking shit together, I've been trialing ATX-304 and BAM15. Now, BAM15 was a compound I vouched to never use after having a terrible experience with DNP, and I think I'm pretty much done with it after 2 weeks on BAM15. And I tried the localized BAM15 cream, and I'm like, okay, it shouldn't cause too much oxidative stress if I just rub it, in areas which are stubborn. And guess what? Within one tube, I got localized fat loss of that BAM15 cream that Brandon made. So that was a good response. And I'm like, okay, let's see what happens when I take it systemic. So I took 200 milligrams ATX-304. That's too much. Too tired, too lethargic. 100 milligrams is okay. So I did like 200 milligrams for a couple of days, and I dropped it back down to 100 milligrams, 50 morning, 50 evening. Lethargic, but good fat loss. When you stack that with 100 milligrams SLU, it feels like cheating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I would have to do a refeed every Wednesday and maybe Friday. Otherwise, I wouldn't make it until Sunday. Right? Sunday, I have a cheat meal. So Friday, I would have like a loaf of bread, and Thursday or Wednesday, I'd have like 2 cups of rice, just to keep me going, because it burns through the carbohydrates really, really fast. Every day I woke up leaner, especially in the lower back. Now, I follow a ketogenic diet with Eloralintide, so I'm sure that contributes. But this is without any stimulants. No mirabegron, no clenbuterol, no yohimbine, none of that shit that works in the heart. So it's just optimized mitochondrial function, plus ATX-304 at a tolerable dose of 100 milligrams per day. It's insane. But not as insane as 100 milligrams of BAM15. Yeah. That is the daily changes that I get on that, like new veins, lower back. And lower back is now almost in. You get that skin fold where it's like a little bit flabby. I'm a little bit more watery on BAM15 because it's closer to DNP in that sense. I'm a little bit hotter, obviously, sweating buckets when I go to the gym without air conditioning. That feels like you're damaging your body at 100 milligrams per day. So that I'm stopping this week. So I did 2 weeks. I'll do a little bit of blood work to see if there's any change, because I did blood work after 4 weeks on ATX-304. Nothing really. My blood work is pretty okay, all things considering. So I'll do a little bit of an update on the BAM15. And then I would only consider that if you really need to drop fat fast, or you go on an all-you-can-eat holiday cruise where you just breakfast, lunch, and dinner is the buffet. And then this would kind of prevent you from getting fat alongside metformin and berberine and Xenatide and Carcinia Cambogia and Ali, what is it called? The fat absorb.
Ali Star, something like that. That one?
Yeah, the fat absorbing drug.
Exactly. That's what it is. They sell it over the counter.
Yeah, they sell it over the counter there. So BAM15 and SLU at a high dose, it surely works, but it feels like you're damaging your body. So I can't recommend it, but people are still going to do it. Make sure your antioxidants are high enough. So I'm injecting my glutathione, 800 milligrams a week, 5 grams, 5 grams of vitamin C per day, 5 grams of taurine per day, right? And hopefully, and ubiquinol, PQQ, right? All antioxidant, methylene blue, all that shit. But yeah, it's dramatic, but I feel that it comes at a cost. So let's see what the blood work says this Sunday.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with BAM15. I've noticed too, is that it's not DNP, but I mean, still it's on a similar pathway. So you're going to still get some DNP side effects. And so we have something new I've been working on. We used to sell it, but it's a SLU and BAM mixture, but in the micrograms. Okay. So it's BAM15 at like 50 micrograms, not milligrams. And I use that one personally, and I noticed it, but it was not even close to obviously like using milligrams. It was a little bit faster fat loss. It's a little bit better, but it's definitely not like even comparable to milligrams. So it's like a good maybe entry option or just at least see your tolerance. But still, it's still BAM15 and it's still SLU, so it will still do some things to your body.
The scientific evidence on BAM15 is not as atrocious as on DNP. Like if you do a deep dive research, you see that it should be pretty tolerable, even into 100, 200 milligrams per day. I think that the investigated dose just went up to 200 or 400 milligrams per day with no real adverse effects. Can't remember, but it was a higher dose than I ran. It just doesn't feel right.
Well, a lot of it
feel off. And just like with DNP, like DNP and Superdrol, you just feel toxic. This you feel off. So I don't know. But the fat loss, so you feel off, and the fat loss is like really, really fast. So you're like, oh man, fuck, I'm melting my kidneys here. You know, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and I feel like with a lot of this stuff too, it's like, again, it's like with SARMs. You know, I think I mentioned last time. You take a compound like the mitochondrial uncouplers, like. The goal when designing these molecules is not to drive insane fat loss. So you're taking some of these molecules, using them improperly, and it's probably fine to a degree, but it's like, you know, as you know, same with the muscle building drugs that are coming out. It's like the goal is not to use them as a bodybuilder. So when you take a compound from, you know, that's being developed in pharmacology, misuse it for your, like with the bodybuilding lens, I think then it's a little bit like, you know, you're kind of getting back to where you were before because you're using a higher dose and it's losing the selectivity. But that's where I think the multi pathway fat loss stuff comes into play. And even with something like SLU, I think the problem is that, you know, it's not all about bioavailability. And so some of these concepts, I think within our community of like, you know, oh, well, SLU is this in animal studies and it converts like this. Well, yeah, but if you take like T3, I think, or T4 in animal studies and convert it to humans, it's far higher than micrograms because there's factors like the, you know, nanomolar potency and stuff at play. And so whenever people tell me that they don't feel SLU and that they need to take all this to feel it, I'm always like, well, what are you expecting to feel? You know, because you can feel really good on stimulants, but that doesn't, you know, like the bar for, if you take a stimulant, you feel good, you say, oh, well, it's the stimulant, it's supposed to do that. You know, it's bad for me though. But like, some of these, it's like you're cranking the dose so high to kind of feel this thing. Like, are you even supposed to be feeling it? You know, and so that's why, like Jackson was saying, I think some things like BAM in a transdermal, maybe even formulated with less of the permeation enhancers might be good. You know, the guy from Parabolic, I should say, and I were working on some of these things where it's like maybe we pull back on permeation enhancers with something like BAM because we don't want to drive it as deep into the system, and so it's more of that surface-based thing. But those things are only going to come with the kind of intelligent, you know, formulating and are very technical. But those are the tweaks we can make to these things to make them more tolerable for people like maybe you, Steve, or you, Jackson, or maybe it's the wrong molecule, you know. But I think it's interesting to kind of dive into kind of how the formulation of it can change the side effects and also the benefits.
Yeah, I think like the BAM15 transdermal, if it doesn't go too deep and it just acts in the adipose tissue, or maybe a combination with SANA, right? The MVSD1, right? The
one I think it is. That was what I was referring to, but I guess we'll just name drop it. Yeah.
Oh shit! I thought you were mentioning the other compound.
No. There's too many compounds to think about now, man. There's too much. Like, every day I send like a list of 10 compounds we can have on the website, and I'm just telling Steve, okay, should we do this one? Should we do this one? And then Steve's like, I don't know about that one. I haven't heard anything about it.
But the SANA looks very promising.
It's legit. Yeah. I've actually got to try it out, and he says,
Yeah. So whether that's transdermal, oral, or injectable, I think that could be a game changer for localized fat loss as well.
Oh yeah. Transdermal, maybe. I haven't even thought about that one, but that could be big.
I think BAM15 and SANA together, I mean, you get uncoupling at the adipose tissue site, and then if you combine that with 5-amino-1-MQ and NAD+, I think you just have a one-way pathway to fat loss without getting stuck.
5-aminos works well as a transdermal. It just stains so bad that it has to be diluted. But there's a lot of, even the Xenatide we're talking about, I mean, theoretically could work in a transdermal formula with all those. It's just like, I'm sure some people would prefer it that way. And like, even as someone who sells it, I'm like, why would you put it as a transdermal? But maybe it's like, if you have all the compounds and it's working from different pathways, that'd be a transdermal GLP. You know, it's like, okay, but if I can show you the permeation enhancers and the molecules optimized for it, I personally would say nasal is better, but maybe some people want to use it like that, you know? So that's where it's like, it's interesting to like consumer demand with like what we can deliver. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming out with everything. As Jackson's very also demanding. He'll randomly ask me for like 4 SKUs of 100 of this or 100 of that. So it's very funny. I'll get a random text that's like, we need to do like 300 sprays and it needs to be this new formula and this and that. And then the next day he's like, have you sent it yet? And then he's like, you need to relax a little bit, man. You seem stressed out. I'm like, okay.
That's all the nootropics that are clearly cranking up his brain. I think like 3 days since I asked him. Said no, it's been 12 hours, bro.
Yeah.
It happens, man. I was in that mode too back in the day. So why is it not done yet? So you send the video to the editor, and the editor's like, I just finished downloading the files. What do you expect?
And I mean, there's just so much go right now. Like again, we have our 1 year anniversary coming up too. So I'm trying to literally stock up on everything, get all these new compounds out, tested, man. I mean, there's just so many moving parts right now. It's been a journey. I'm not gonna lie. These past 2 months, just trying to get everything kind of put together and set up. But I think we're finally at that point now where we're gonna be good with all these new compounds and everything coming out. We have a good system, a good chain of command and everything, chain of custody. Sorry, with testing, and we have multiple labs. And even if some of them are a little slower than the others, like there's always other options. So yeah, I'm super excited for just everything dropping. The SLU 915, speaking of bioavailability, we just got results in this morning, and yeah, they were great. So Steve has that on the way to him. I'll send some out to Derek as well. We just have to wait for. I had like my own bottle I gave to Steve, so I don't have any. Yeah, I just gave
for you, bro.
Yeah. Thank you. Try it out for me, man. We just literally get essentially they just give us one bottle out of the batch early, and then the rest it takes like 2 weeks. So came out good, and now we kind of start to experiment in our research with it and see how it compares.
Yeah, and it's a bit hard to kind of do the dose extrapolation. So I'll stay in 100 milligrams oral SLU PP332 until it arrives, and then I'll switch to 10 milligrams. That's what the capsules are, right? And see what a difference is. Now, again, the only real difference you notice is obviously in the gym regarding stamina, like how fast you can go between sets. That's the only real difference I notice. The body temperature is always a little bit elevated here in Asia, so I'm clammy and sweaty 24/7 anyway. And the fat loss is pretty high. So I'll run it solo first and then throw in some ATX again and then see if it accelerates. But yeah, I don't have a problem with 332. I think it's perfectly orally bioavailable. I tried the injectable versions, 7.5 milligrams does its job also. I've tried 1 milligram per day or 250 micrograms back in the day when it first got out, and it all kind of works in a dose-dependent fashion. But yeah, if people prefer the 913 or 915, then sure, by all means, you'll have it available. And again, on paper, it does make sense that it has higher bioavailability. Whether that plays out in humans, and let's see.
Steve, I have a question for you. Since you tried, now you went down more the peptide research route compared to the old school bodybuilding days. If you had to put together a fat loss stack now, specifically for something that wouldn't put you off your entrepreneur path too much, you wouldn't be, I guess, the easy fat loss stack if you're trying to get shredded, where you're not going to have all the side effects. Like something like Clen, you're obviously going to be like shaking a little bit if you go too high with it. Like what kind of combination would you use now compared to a while ago?
Reta, Mirabegron, SLU, and ATX.
Okay.
And then MOTS-c is mostly for energy levels and mitochondrial function, because it does make you a little bit tired. But the MOTS-c would kind of complement the mitochondrial requirement that is upregulated. It's like SLU and ATX, they both increase mitochondrial density. So you get more mitochondria. MOTS-c, it's a little bit debated whether it increases mitochondrial density or just supports the mitochondria. So you have something to increase the mitochondria and something to support their function. Good amount of antioxidants, methylene blue, the electrolytes, right, for the electron transport chain. And then something to upregulate it to promote fat loss, something to liberate it in the form of mirabegron that's pretty non-invasive. And then retatrutide to suppress your appetite. And I think you're done in that sense. I don't think you need Clen. I don't think you need yohimbine. I don't think you need ephedrine. I don't think you need Adderall. All these compounds that were traditionally used back in the day, I think with what we've introduced last year, Reta, mirabegron, SLU, ATX, and then maybe Transdermal, BAM15 and Sana, if you have some, or maybe the Sana to give it a try, right? I haven't tried it yet, but it looks promising. I think you're done. I have no stubborn fat now, besides on my butt, which is fine.
We have something for that too, sir.
Yeah.
Get everything off, man.
Sitting in a puddle of transdermal BAM15 on the chair. Why am I so hot? Who turned on my seat warmer? Do you guys remember when seat warmers came to cars? This is like ages ago. It's before your time. You guys were barely born.
Honestly, I wish it never happened. I'm sorry.
No?
I hate seat
So
warmers.
I was doing I was like a business consultant, right? So I was like early 20s. You get like a company car, then the second car you get has a seat warmer. You're like, oh, this is great. So you get some girl in the car, right? Sits there, put the seat warmer on. Nobody knew this was it, that it existed, right? And then halfway through the ride home, she's like, "Why is it so hot?"
Oh,
So that's what I imagine BAM15. After a while, you're like, if you put that on your butt for localized fat loss, you're like, shit, man, my ass is on fire.
That's a good invention idea. Let's go to the car manufacturers and get the Xenatide and BAM15 raws in the seats. It's pre-made.
Yeah. Just drive commando, and who's gonna look into your car? Nobody. As long as you have a shirt, it's fine.
Yeah. All you need. Boom,
That's all you need. I think we got about 20 minutes left because Brandon's got to bounce really soon. So let's do our favorite nootropics for like a 4-piece tier list. Brandon, you want to go first?
Sure. So when you say 4-piece tier list, you mean 4 nootropics? I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. So you choose one, and I choose one, and Derek and Jack, and then we come to a consensus on where we classify it.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm looking at the timer right now, so I'm not gonna yap too much because there's so many nootropics I've tried. I would say, aside from hormone optimization, neurosteroids, nootropic wise, the one that I noticed the most was fluvoxamine, because of the fact, and I'm not going to say a stimulant because it's just such an easy answer. And yes, stimulants are stimulants, but fluvoxamine for me was very good because from a business perspective, it allowed me to, number one, navigate situations with less emotion, but it wasn't with no emotion. And if you want to mediate that, you can use an intranasal oxytocin, kisspeptin blend type thing. But it was with much more calmness, and being able to get rid of anxiety alone improved performance a lot. A lot of people don't realize how their anxiety kind of negatively impacts things. And so the less anxiety, the better decision making. My neurogenesis was just like, I could tell in the long run because I was smoother when I delivered, when I was talking to people, when I was thinking through things, and I just felt better on it. My brain, my cognitive function, that with donepezil was for me the best. My memory was better, and I think that had long-term impacts on me and my cognitive function. With the sprinkled in stimulant, that's my number one favorite by far. And long-term, it's the most applicable because a lot of them, even like memantine, I've noticed, if I take it for long periods of time, I get a little spacey with the NMDA receptor blocking.
Yeah.
Fluvoxamine was something I felt like that donepezil, that stack with the proper neurosteroids was absolutely money. And then you sprinkle these other things in to make it, the 2 to 3% better. But that has to be a lot of people don't like the SSRIs, but for me, that was the biggest game changer. Was removing that anxiety was such a performance boost that even something like a stimulant would never provide. Because when you have anxiety, you're not going to perform well, right? So that plus all the other benefits, it's my top one. I know it's a bit of a, boring answer because it's an SSRI, but that's my number one.
Yeah, you went straight to the Rolls Royce of long-term neurogenesis.
I know.
Did you try vortioxetine?
I did not. No, I looked at it, but I had not tried. I've tried a lot of even like L-THP earlier. They were talking about, like, I've tried the Seroquel and stuff before bed, like at a low dose to try to, bring back some dopamine sensitivity and stuff like that. So I'm always open to trying things, but I found that like a lot of these more experimental ones are good short term, but long term ones, the tried and true kind of ones with the data are always, for the long term cognitive improvement, the best.
I agree. I've been on fluvoxamine now for 3 years. I tried vortioxetine in the meantime, but I didn't last long because it literally killed my libido and I couldn't get erections. And then I stacked it with methylene blue and I got full-blown serotonin syndrome. So that went in the trash. But a low-dose fluvoxamine, 50 milligrams, even 25 milligrams per day, it goes a very long way for me. So all these injections that I did with cerebrolizin, 5 milliliters, 10 milliliters per day, And it's very cumbersome. You get pin fatigue. And even though it's the smoothest injections, out of all the injections that I do, it literally goes in like butter. You don't have any post-injection pain or soreness or what. Actually, the injection site kind of feels nice because you get so much, neurotropic aids in there. But you can get a similar effect or even a better effect from fluvoxamine, the neurogenesis that it potentiates. And with fluvoxamine, you just get continuous increase in brain-derived neurotropic factor, whereas with cerebrolizin, you don't really know what's in there and what it does to your... It's kind of poorly investigated. And it doesn't contain brain-derived neurotropic factor or the other neurogrowth factors. It creates some sort of peptide chain that acts as a neurotropic secretagogue, basically. So it does raise levels, but it doesn't contain it. So if I were to have to make a choice again, I would just stick to fluvoxamine and put it straight in S tier. But it is a lifetime commitment. Like, withdrawal is fucking brutal. It's not fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think so. Unfortunately, I can't speak of as highly on it, but I also didn't run it for a very long time. It was only 2 months, but my experience was I became a lazy couch potato. Unfortunately, it seems like on it. That's just kind of what I experienced with it, though. I know there's been a lot of benefits, and that was probably on paper the drug that I needed the most. But I agree, for a lot of people, it's going to be S tier. I think you just have to kind of, I don't know if there's a test for it or something. There probably is like a way to figure it out. But I think the only other way is just to try it and see if it works for you if you really have these issues. 'Cause on paper, again, it's a great drug. The long-term genesis, the short-term benefits obviously are there too, and it's a great on paper SSRI. And SSRIs are also overly hated on in general, even if I had a bad experience with them. They're still amazing drugs.
And again, individual response, of course. You might be able to do some sort of DNA test where you see if you have increased serotonin metabolism or impaired serotonin production in the gut microbiome. Right? Something like that you could easily investigate before you get on SSRIs. But in the end, all the people that I know that tried it at a low dose and then escalating the dose upwards so you don't get so much gastrointestinal upset because, again, serotonin levels in the stomach do go up also, and then you get all kinds of digestive issues. So you start low, 25 milligrams for a week, and then 50 milligrams for a month, and you can escalate upwards slowly and steadily. I did 100 milligrams first, but I get the benefits at 50 milligrams also. The large majority of the people who did it like this that I know only got benefits and no libido changes. But some people prefer vortioxetine, and other people prefer not to run it at all, like in your case. So if you notice that you get lethargic or unmotivated or your libido goes shit, then obviously you need to look elsewhere. But there's no real way of knowing before you try it. But did you get any withdrawal after 2 months coming off?
So I don't actually really know, because at that time I was pretty much deep into disguised. So I was so busy with everything else, I didn't even really think, to be honest with you. Like, I genuinely couldn't think straight. So again, it could be because of that too, right? I was in a very stressed position, and maybe I literally couldn't afford to calm down. I literally probably couldn't afford it at that period. I had to just keep pushing. There was no stopping. There was no slowing down. So I've spoken to Brandon, and it may be something I get back on eventually. But I think it needs to be at a point where I'm never going to be completely stable, but I'm more stable, right? Mm-hmm. Right now is not the time. Right now is the time to keep innovating and keep pushing forward, not to slow down. So not right now, but again, individual response always varies. So.
Right. Derek, did you ever try an SSRI?
No, I'm going to defer to you guys on this one. I have not. Right. I've gone into some of the more advanced ones, but not that deep into it. So whatever you guys say is kind of what I'm going with. I'm
super biased, and I wish I started this when I was like 18. It could have saved me a lot of headache in my life. So I'm going to put it in S tier. But yeah, it has, like, SSRIs is kind of like finasteride or Accutane. It's end stage mood management and anxiety management and neurogenesis, right? You can look into SMAC, cerebrolizin, Salank. There's so many things you could try, but after you've gone through the ringer and tried a lot of things and you're not quite there yet, then fluvoxamine is the game-changing drug, similar to retatrutide, basically, for appetite suppression, So I'm just going to put it in S tier. Brandon, what do you think?
I think, I want to go and rant about this for hours, but yeah, I think one of the biggest disservices, we do as a space is have these weird, like, for example, people they hate SSRIs, but what was the one that came out, the triple tesofensine, right?
There's a fancy.
No.
There's an SNDRI. You got all
Yeah.
three.
And it's like, I think there's a disservice in the space almost, because it's like there's this blind, I would never take an SSRI, but then they would take tesofensine. Why? And so I agree with you. I mean, to me, it was one of the biggest things that I was taking all these, I was trying everything. And for the just anxiety management, for the cognitive enhancement, I had kind of the aha moment when it was like, hey, it is this SSRI. And like, yeah, when I started, I didn't feel great. It's a long-term thing, but I think that's one of the hardest things to convey to people about cognitive enhancement, is that it's not a same-day thing, right? We have same-day cognitive enhancement figured out with stimulants. Right. It is a long-term thing, and there's a bigger play, right? So it's like people take these and they have a few like in the first few weeks, I think when you take fluvoxamine, your dopamine might go down initially, but the biggest thing that I try to convey to people is, all research molecules are molecules designed by pharmaceutical companies that were on their way to becoming pharmaceutical compounds, right? So just because a compound, you don't want to use it because it's a pharmaceutical, but then you use a research molecule that was going to become a pharmaceutical but didn't, I think there's this false sense of security. So I'll keep the rant to that, but I think things like SSRIs, not as a blanket statement, but are very valuable tools that are pushed to the side far too often. And yeah, they don't work for everyone, but that's every drug, right? You hear, oh, this SSRI didn't work for me, I had a horrible experience. Okay, well, I mean, look at the world of androgens, look at the world of any compound ever to exist, same exact thing. So that's where I always get passionate about it, because it was such a game changer for me that I didn't do because some guy online probably said, oh, we're on our phones too much, and they just prescribe us antidepressants, and this isn't a way to get some sun. But then you look deeper into it, and no, they're actually a very sensible, well-researched option for a lot of people, And
they're pushing Samax on the back end right after that video. They have a Samax video up, and a Solink video up, and they're telling you to go buy some.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, this is true.
I'm not like, again, I'm the opposite, right? I have my own company can't sell that stuff. So it's like the big pharma is not paying me to promote fluvoxamine. This is just my personal experience of trying to help people out. So it's just, to me, it's a very groundbreaking thing. I agree with you fully, Steve. And I think it's a very powerful tool that a lot of people could benefit from and don't, because of the stigma kind of surrounding it.
S-tier's good. S-tier. I think that's all.
All right, Derek, throw in a nootropic that you have experience with.
Okay. This is going to be more, I guess, just breaking into the nootropic space. But honestly, this is a direct comparison to a Bromantane-like compound, but a little bit less potent in my experience. And that's Adamax, the 1032 version, versus a regular. This is not like normal Samax. I tried normal Samax. I could sit down, I could do work, but it almost felt like I was overstimulated with Samax. I wasn't dying to get stuff done. I was like almost finding myself staring at my computer screen without much motivation to do anything. With Adamax, it's a little bit differently. I'm talking about the 1032 Dalton one specifically, because it has like an admantane moiety group to it. It basically just more dopaminergic, more motivation to get stuff done. But what I found is, compare that to Bromantane, because Bromantane also has that drive to get stuff done. Bromantane hits a little bit harder, but you can't take that day after day, or even 4 or 5 times a week. It kind of gets to you. Adamax is one that I found could probably be in anywhere from like 3 to 5 times a week, and I didn't notice a difference the days I wasn't taking it, like a withdrawal effect of like almost I couldn't get stuff done. It was more steady state, long term, like, okay, I can notice when it's in. When it's not in, I'm not having any withdrawals. So I'm saying if someone's in intro to the research space, they try this thing out for a little bit, and they're like, okay, if they were always that person that procrastinated a little bit on school, work, stuff like that, throw a little bit of Adamax in. As soon as I throw that in, I'm getting emails done. I'm getting, just more responsive, more social to people. I can get 20 tasks done versus, lagging behind, doing 2-3 things and just getting distracted. For me, I don't know why. That's like the magic potion that kind of gets me through the day.
All right. And where would you rate it?
Honestly, I'm not going to give it an S tier because it doesn't work for some people. Some people say they feel nothing with it. For me, it's an A tier. For the average person, I could see A or B tier for me if you tried the 1032 version.
Did you try it, Brandon or Jack? Did you guys try this?
I don't know that week, so this is too weak for me to notice it. I need to get on like hard stimulants. So only hard stims for me are Racetam, pretty much.
It's a good. I mean, it's a good. I think it's an improved version. Like, albeit, I think not crazy improved, but it's still an improved Cmax that is it's very easy to go throw that in, kind of like what Derek was saying, on a regular basis. It works well. It's a safe option. People respond well to it. I've tried it, again, regular Cmax, stuff like that. Great to have in the background. And my thing is, like, a lot of these are pretty cost effective. If you're nervous about getting nootropics, a few sprays of Atomax in the morning, very favorable. Why not have that in, change your lifestyle? It'll be good to go. So I do like it. I think it's slightly better than regular Cmax, but, like, for example, discerning, NA Cmax versus Atomax versus the different ones, like, that becomes a little tough. But I mean, still, it's a really good option. It's safe, user friendly, and even for myself, when I have it in the background, I perform better. So I would agree. It's a good universal one, especially while we're trying to get nootropics kind of more to the mainstream.
Yeah,
Easy one.
I tried all those versions, and in the end, if the dosing is adjusted correctly, I get pretty much the same effects between all of them. So all the versions of Semax, all the versions of Selank, obviously the dosing can be a little bit lower. Some are a little bit longer, like NS still Semax is longer lasting. But then again, I like, my nootropics to work like a couple hours, and then I can kind of kick back and, look at my work and, like, okay, be hands off for a bit, go to the gym, and then maybe take a second serving of something else. So besides Bromantane, Dihexa, and KW, I'd rather have my nootropics last a little bit shorter, like a 4-hour work window. That's what I prefer. Chat, or what is a nootropic that you've tried that's certified F tier that we can all trash?
Ooh, I'll give you guys both. For the F tier, see, I don't want to say like some Max because that's just too easy, but I would personally put that F tier, but like other people wouldn't.
And the sales just got...
Yeah, I mean, I'll just be honest, I don't know with it, but if I was to give it, Nephiracetam. People like it, but I've tried it, and all I felt was like behind my eyes. I could just feel like I was just way too. I think it was too much. I don't know. I've barely heard anyone use it. We sell it, and I have it. Some people, use it, I'm assuming, and like it because I see it from buyers. But that's my F tier. I just haven't heard much about it. I've tried a lot, so it's hard for me to say. My S tier, though, it's easily psilocybin. I mean, just by far.
What doses are we talking about?
Ooh, so I've been pretty crazy. I've tried aniracetam, methylene blue, and psilocybin at the same time, a microdose at work at my previous job.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a fun night. Randomly, my mom decided to come into work. The first time she's ever come in was when I was on these 3 at work. So that was a fun experience to try talking to her. But if it's not psilocybin, then probably KW at this point, to be honest. It's just so... I get dopamine benefits from it. I don't know why. I just get dopamine benefits from it. It's weird. I don't know, Derek, have you gotten the dopamine benefits from it? I do, but I'm not sure if other people do.
I don't know if it's a straight dopamine effect or it's just the wakefulness of it makes you more in the moment and kind of... I guess you're getting a more dopaminergic reward system kind of upregulation with it, but I think it's just being more present in what you're doing. A lot of the times with these GLPs or anything like that, you kind of get this low sometimes if you have no nootropics in play, and you're kind of just going through the day and everything feels the same. I've even noticed it, like some people call it anhedonia or like flatness or whatever from the GLPs, and I see that. I think anytime you introduce something, even with a little bit of caffeine, but KW specifically, it wakes you up so much that you're like, okay, this is actually, I'm getting stuff done. I feel accomplished. So yeah, I definitely get that a little bit.
What doses are you guys taking for the KW?
I think I usually take half a dropper. It's about like 2.5 milligrams to
Yeah. So I went off Steve's recommendations. I went like 1.5 for the day, and that was enough. I could feel it kind of winding down, maybe like 6 p.m., 7 p.m., which was perfect because you don't want to be awake and the half-life's pretty long on it. So I think if you do go up too much, you're gonna wreck your sleep, and it's just a dangerous cycle.
Yeah. So I take 1.25. It's a quarter dropper, and I went up to a half one time. It's 2.5, and then I couldn't sleep. So I'm looking forward to that L-THP to kind of bring me down again and give it a try. But I get all the benefits at 1.25 milligrams. The lethargy is gone, the productivity is up, mood, motivation. I can't say that I noticed much cognitive benefits. For that, I prefer Bromantane or Dihexa. But the KW is a nice addition from all the stuff that I've tried. That's one that I would like to use again when the bottle is finished. The ACD, I'm still a little bit undecided on. Like the fluvoxamine I'm on, and the methylene blue, and I'm I'm semi-retired, so you're kind of in a good mood all the time. I have motorcycles and Legos to play with, so it's, this is something fun going on. So I don't need the ACD to put me in a good mood. But the KW is a warm welcome. That's one of the more exciting nootropics that I've tried, even though I don't really get much nootropic effects out of it.
How would you compare the wakefulness to something like modafinil, or because that's pretty much the comparison to just for wakefulness, not nootropics.
Yeah, that's so the modafinil, when it was still working for me, it was wakefulness plus good mood. So that was like the perfect drug for me at the time, because you feel energetic, you're in a good mood, you're wired, you get better mind muscle connection and better contraction in the gym, and then I think I fried my brain at 50 milligrams per day for 6 years straight. Yeah. And that's all we had, man. Ritalin never really did it for me. Phenylparacetam or paracetams, it didn't come close to modafinil. Adderall was not available. And then, I kind of ran it until I started experimenting with brain-derived neurotropic aids, like cerebrolysine and Semax and Selanx. And after that, maybe I healed my brain to the point that I became so sensitive, or I stopped for a while and I reintroduced it and my brain was rewired. But now I can't use it anymore. Any modafinil variant, generic or like you have fluoromodafinil and halogenated and whatever, it all gives me a headache.
Yeah, I wonder for some of the wakefulness components of it, because I used to really respond well, and now I don't. I mean, it hurts my head. I feel like weird on it. It just doesn't really do a lot for me. So I'm the same way. Yeah. I don't know what happened, but I think KW intranasal sounds interesting. Is that a thing that can be done? I mean, I'd have to look at it, but that would be.
I don't know, but to be honest, we tried getting the capsules recently because I know the liquid's a little bit 50-50, and the capsules we can do, but the price for some reason is absurd. So I don't know why specifically. I guess the liquids is a cheaper solution. Nasal, I haven't looked into. Maybe we can talk about it more later, Brandon, because that could be interesting. But I mean, I don't know, because I feel like it's going to be too hard to dose. That'd be my kind of only issue with it, because it's a drug where you're kind of playing with the like micrograms, like even like 500 more micrograms could be between sleeping and not sleeping. That's the only issue I could see with it.
Yeah, and it has a long half-life.
Yeah, it's not a short acting. Like you can take multiple sprays of, like, for example, like cyclazidone or phenylparacetam or bromantane, and it's a shorter acting half-life. But KW in a spray, I'm a little bit, it's just I don't want to mess around with that because I don't want people to not be sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you create more customers for L-THP.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. All right, throw it in then.
You do a bundle pack. It's called the upper and the downer, right? That's the name that Brandon would come up with. AM upper, PM downer.
PM downer. That's the best. Well, when people go out, like that's the best combo.
Yeah. And then you take some inhibit alongside of it, and you're good to go, man.
Well, I do want to say one more thing. Another one of my favorites, and I won't put this on tier list, but I've been messing around with this for a while, like years now, 2 years, is Phenubut, and that's one of my all-time favorite anxiolytics, besides the pharmaceutical ones. But I love Phenubut for just going out. This is good.
Yeah, I like it for sleep, but not to stay awake on it.
Oh, I like staying awake on it, man. I feel good.
Yeah, I like GHB to stay awake on, but it's not a nootropic. Yeah, it's a clavicular. Clavicular special.
Yeah,
dude,
guys, I gotta sit down. I gotta sit down for a bit. I took too much. Where would you put the KW, Jack?
I don't want to say S tier just because I love it, but personally, I can see issues with the sleep. Again, I think that sleep is the most important thing we're literally discussing in this entire podcast. So messing with your sleep could cause a lot of issues, and that's why I personally don't like using modafinil. I'm actually on modafinil right now, but that's because I have an insane day ahead of me. So I would probably say A tier. I think it's a good spot to be in. I mean, I don't like to consider stims in the S tier just because you want to definitely ensure you're, sleeping, and sometimes stims, my biggest issue is my dopamine goes up too much. I start making impulsive decisions, and you can tell when I'm on a stimulant, Steve. Your message inbox will just have 10 new messages. So, and Derek.
Okay.
No, that's when I mute my laptop. I just hear ping, 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 ping.
So everything is muted. I just check in, and there's like 15 new messages. It's like, okay, I wonder what cocktail Brandon is on today. Or Jack is on today.
it's a lot of fun formulating. We'd have to. I don't know. I'd be curious to see some of the stacks and stuff. Someone like Clavicular and them. It's kind of funny. Like a lot of them are actually in tune with some of the science stuff to an extent.
They watch our shit, man. I know. I heard it firsthand. They all watch our shit.
Yeah, and so it'd be interesting to see like they allow like a lot of performance enhancing like bedroom ones. Like the joke that I've given to Derek is that I gave him one called the Goon Balm, and it sounds hilarious, but there's actually
I knew it.
and it's like, but it's such a funny name, but it's something where it's like a lot of people, it's transdermal tadalafil plus like VIPs, like it's very scientific, but then it's called the Goon Balm, and so Derek, I rubbed it on him, and so
when we were out in Cali, he gives me this transdermal. It says Goon Balm. I'm like, what, Brandon? What's in this? He goes, I forgot. I don't know.
Trust me, bro.
Yeah, trust me, bro. I was like,
I had forgotten what it was. Honestly, I don't know, but sometimes I go back some stuff over to Derek.
Bring me some of that shit, and then I might end up in Sapphires and Vegas.
I'll bring it to the Olympia. Whoever wants it, I'll put it in the middle.
Yeah, just rub it on backstage.
It'll be stocked. A lot of limited edition things that are. I'll try to remember what's inside, but it'll be fun. Yeah,
I'll definitely need some Bromantane nasal sprays for the expo.
Oh yeah,
Gotcha.
so
I'll be talking nonstop. So the KW goes in A tier,
I would
and
agree.
then where will we put modafinil? Since we talked about this, is that then B tier or A tier also? Because I do feel when it worked, it worked pretty
really
much
well.
A tier for me.
From everybody I've heard, I've gotten a lot of like community feedback from it too, especially now with the GLPs. A lot of people are going back to modafinil because the wakefulness part of it. I would probably
and the
go
dopaminergic and serotonergic stimulation kind of offsets the anhedonia from the GLP ones.
For what it does, I would go A tier. If you're expecting something, different out of it, or if you're, going stupid with the dosages and that causes issues, I would say, maybe B tier for some people, but for the people it works, A tier.
Yeah, I would agree.
I can
Okay.
be in that.
Yeah, let's put it in A tier. Same as KW. I like KW, but for me, I got more out of modafinil when it still worked.
Yeah.
But I still get a good amount out of the KW.
Well, there's
It's a nice
something-
compound. It's a nice thing that I've tried. I've tried recently the medication that I'm going to throw into the hat. Sermion, nicer goal line.
Oh, nicer goal line. I have heard of that
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. So what it does is it increases blood flow to the brain. It's basically Cialis for your brain.
For the brain.
Yeah. And I remember I was at the Muscle Factory here in Thailand, and then some random dude showed up, say, "Yeah, what's your podcast? And I really like the nootropic content. You should try Sermion, nicer goal line." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Called the pharmacy. It was delivered the same evening. Tried it the next day. You take it, and you literally feel like your head open up. You're like, It's like an extra light switch.
It's like
Everything is
brain fog goes
illuminated.
away. Is that kind of what it feels like? Brain fog evaporates or different?
It's more that you're tapping into something that was there, but it was behind the closed door.
Would you describe it more as like creativity opens up or just kind of longer term thinking? What's the best?
Yeah, longer term
feeling?
thinking, creativity, access to memories, memory recollection, something that you would get subconsciously from adding in DHEA and pregnenolone. So I found that, to be a nice addition. I run it maybe twice a week, the nicer goal line, and it seems to stack quite well with everything,
Yeah.
funnily enough. So like dihexa and bromantane, that combination is pretty invasive, right? Or dihexa, bromantane, or modafinil. That's like you have to choose one, but then you can stack the nicer goal line on top or the KW on top, and then you get like a nice effect. Or you stack a little bit uridine 5-monophosphate to have with the choline levels, So you have like mainline S tier, A tier stuff. And then you put something like a nicer goal line on top to kind of help with your creativity and memory recollection and just overall blood flow.
So where are you
it is
putting
about-
that?
I would put it on B tier because it's an add-on. It's not a mainline. Yeah, it's not a mainline drug. So you add it on top of something else. Like if you use it by itself, you're like, this is nice.
Yeah.
Right? Like KW I can use by itself. Modafinil used by itself. But the nicer goal line, I feel you need to stack it with something. Otherwise, you don't get the benefit because it increases blood flow, and there needs to be something in the blood, like a fuckload of ketones, for example, in a ketogenic diet, or a fuckload of Adderall to stimulate you. So I think, exactly. You put it on top. So a combination of Sermion and Nicergoline with a low dose Adderall, I mean, you're unstoppable, dude. That's like SS tier. That's a double S tier.
Polypharmacy right there, right? We got the polypharmacy play there. So
Yeah. Well, nootropics is always polypharmacy, man. You need to stack a couple things together. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, look at all those nootropic formulas that are out there, like Blitzed, right? Brandon, the one that you made. I mean, it's 7 ingredients, 6 ingredients.
Yeah, and with things like that too, I mean, they all work together, you know. And I think again, the notion of I'm only taking 1, this person's taking 8. Look at them, you know. With Blitz, right? It's like we had to use we structured it around supporting the stimulant in the formula, and we use a stimulant that's of course not the best, but the one for marketability, and so we don't get in trouble, is the best. But then we formulated around the stimulant, you know. And it's like, yes, you could just take the stimulant and I'm only taking 1 compound versus more, but you have that support with it. I want to make one without the stimulant, and that's a pure like support-based thing to take with your stimulants. Eases anxiety, you know, stops to a degree the dopaminergic downregulation, all that stuff. So you can take with your stimulant, your stimulant's enhanced, you have less of a anxiety with it, and it's just a better overall experience. But yeah, you can always formulate and mold, and that's all the ones Blitz, Hypnos, even Inhibit were designed with that intentionality. So that's why I think the polypharmacy piece, if you understand it and you're doing it with intentionality, is really, really effective.
Yeah, same as with the Sermion, the Nicergoline. Like if you're taking something that is longer lasting, like this has a pretty long half-life. So if you take a modafinil and you need a little bit more creativity and just opening up your brain a little bit more for this modafinil to really work, 2 together, man. You know, maybe this is where the headache comes from, you know, too much vasodilation. And it's just, I'm borderlining on, what is an aneurysm? But yeah, I like that one a lot. Yeah, so I would put it in B tier. And it's something that I think everybody should give a try if they have access to it. I don't see it on many product lists, but it is available as a medication.
I was just looking, by the way, to see if I can get it. I was just a pharmaceutical.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
you would have it on your list before this podcast is out.
Yeah, I was looking to see if it's possible, but that one probably not. You know, I think it's
it's Pfizer makes it, so it's you know they gatekeep their shit.
Not
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Don't mess with it. Yeah, I got it on my source list though.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. And just to wrap up, because I don't think we classified it, but if we're kind of going with the more, you know, advanced nootropics, I'm going to put Adamax B tier for most people, because it's kind of like you said, like an add-on, like the other stuff. Not hard hitting, in my opinion. You feel it, but you know, for some people it's great, for some people it's not. So kind of like an addition, in my opinion. So kind of those two.
Yeah, and if you stack like a Semax derivative with PT141 and oxytocin, your libido's through the roof. It's insane. Yeah. So again, you stack it for libido purposes, Adamax or regular Semax, with PT141 and oxytocin all in the form of nasal sprays. I mean, yeah, hide the wives. That's what I would say.
And one final one I wanted to mention before wrapping up, because I know, Derek, you want to try this one. I've heard this one for quite some time now, and Brandon, you've heard of this one too. The GB115. That one is so underrated, but its use cases are kind of slim. Not slim, but it's more of a. Have you heard of that one, Steve? GB115? Not yet. Okay. Maybe I haven't mentioned that 300 items I've sent you yet. But it's like anti-anxiety, and it works with depression, actually. So similar to something like E2228. It's good for depression. I used it sparingly because you kind of have to commit to it. But I found out about it about a year and a half ago, and I tried it out. And if you use it for long enough, it can definitely help with your mood and anxiety. And I think it's an interesting one that we're going to be seeing a lot more people that have, you know, anhedonia. There's actually, that's what it was, you know, a lot of people are using it for, is anhedonia from the GLPs.
Is this like an SSRI, or what kind of pathway does it work on?
You know what it is, Brandon?
Yeah, it's a CCK1. I believe it's antagonist. So it's the it's, I don't know how to say it. I could say the one earlier is like indole propiamide. IPAM is
Nice. Good job.
So, yeah, I was waiting to say that one, but this one I can't. It's CCK1 though, and so it's a bit of a unique mechanism of action, but it does work really well with something like a PE2228 for that anti-anxiety mood.
All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like to me it's a better version of Selang, you know.
Yeah.
I still like Selang's fine, but it's an improved kind of version of that hasn't hit the market yet. So it's cool to develop and stuff too, these blends of intranasal like anxiolytics, where it's an anxiolytic for your day and anxiolytic for your night. Because too many times you take an anxiolytic and you feel like you want to fall asleep, but when you take one that helps you, like has almost the adaptogenic based feel to it, which we did a bromantane benethil one. Those are really good because then you can perform during the day. You're not too tired, but you don't have to carry that weight of anxiety, so it's very beneficial. But I like the GB115. It's solid.
Cool. Yeah, I'll send it over. I'll try everything twice.
Already on the list. Already going to get sent out the next shipment. And then same with
That's
you,
one I
Derek.
asked for too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that one when we have some
Yeah.
experience and we can rank that one.
Yeah, I think with every month we have some new drugs to try and report our experience on, and we can just grow the tier list in that sense. Try something old, something new, and then before we know it, by the end of the year, the tier list will be pretty stacked, and then people can make better decisions. On what to try next.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Cool.
And, it's always great to talk to you guys. Always great to chat.
For sure, man. For sure. We'll do another one in about a month or so, 4 weeks from now. And we'll continue with the updates regarding the peptides and whatever else is new, because it seems that every couple of weeks there's something new in the market. It's very exciting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We probably have about 150 things in R&D that we can touch on whenever. So however you guys want to go in and do that, we have a very long list of things. So.
There's a few crazy ones touching down at the end of this month. So we got a few crazy ones dropping. It's gonna pull it off. Yeah.
Wait.
We'll wait on
Socials
that.
are down below, right, Derek?
Yes, everything will be linked down below. Codes, everything.
Perfect. All right, guys. It was great to talk to you, and we'll see you in about a month.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Peace.
Bye, everyone.